This man entered prison. There's footage of it. There's a file. He was even assigned a number. And yet, according to every official record, this man never existed. He didn't escape. He wasn't released. There's no death certificate. He just vanished. How can a person walk into one of the most secure places on earth and simply cease to be? The story of this impossible prisoner is one that officials have tried to bury for years, a chilling tale that blurs the line between reality and the unexplained. It all started on a quiet evening, just like any other at the state penitentiary. A man was brought in and processed for intake. The procedure was completely by the book. They took his mugshot, a stark, emotionless photo under harsh fluorescent lights. His fingerprints were scanned, the ridges and whorls of his identity captured digitally. He was assigned an inmate identification number, a sequence of digits that would now define his existence within these walls. The guards on duty that night remember it clearly. Everything was normal. Almost too normal. The man was compliant, quiet, and unremarkable in every way. He was led to his cell, the heavy door clanged shut, and the lock turned. Just another night. Just another new inmate. Or so everyone thought. The illusion of normalcy shattered just 2 days later. During a routine morning head count, the guards came to his cell. It was empty. The bed was neatly made, but the man was gone. Panic didn't set in immediately. The first assumption was a simple clerical error. Maybe he was transferred. Maybe he was in the infirmary. Mistakes happen even in a place this structured. But when they checked the logs, there was no record of him being moved. The alarms hadn't been triggered. The locks on his cell door were still secure, completely untampered with. It was as if he had evaporated into thin air. The confusion quickly turned to disbelief when they pulled up his file in the central system. The intake record was there, clear as day. His mugshot stared back at them. His ID number was active. But everything else? Everything that should have defined him before he walked through their doors was a blank slate. This is where the story goes from a simple missing person case to something far stranger. Investigators started digging into his past, trying to build a profile to understand who this man was. What they found was an impossible void. There was no birth certificate registered under his name. A search for prior arrests, traffic violations, anything at all, came up with absolutely nothing. He had no known family, no listed address, no social security number. It was as if he had been born the moment he stepped into the prison intake room. Yet the data from that intake was flawless. The fingerprints they had on file were unique, but they didn't match anyone in any criminal or civilian database on the planet. They had the prints of a ghost. The system had perfectly recorded the entry of a man who, for all intents and purposes, did not exist. Frantic and facing a situation that defied all logic, the investigators turned to the last resort, the surveillance footage. They needed to see it with their own eyes. And the footage confirmed everything the intake officers had said. The video clearly showed the man walking into the facility. You could see him speaking to the guards, following their instructions calmly as he was processed. You could watch the unblinking eye of the camera as he was escorted down the long corridor and stepped into his designated cell. The door closes. And that's it. That's the last time he's ever seen. They reviewed every second of footage from every camera in that cell block. There were no blind spots. There were no glitches or missing segments of time. The cameras never showed him leaving the cell. They never showed anyone else entering. He walked in, the door closed, and he was gone. Faced with a complete impossibility, a man who existed on camera but not in reality, who entered a locked room and never came out, the official investigation quietly stalled. The case was sealed, labeled as an anomaly, and filed away deep in an archive where inconvenient questions go to die. But within the prison walls, among the guards and staff who were there, the story didn't die. It grew. It became a legend, a whispered tale told in hushed tones during late-night shifts. The theories were wild. Some believed he was part of a top-secret government program, an individual with a surgically erased identity, a classified detainee they weren't supposed to have. Others blamed the system itself, a massive, 1 in a billion database corruption that accidentally generated a phantom inmate. But a few whispered something else, something more unsettling. They wondered if the system, in its cold, logical process, had accidentally accepted someone who wasn't from here at all, someone who didn't belong in our world. This leaves us with a truly terrifying thought, a question that unravels our understanding of identity. If a person has a physical body, a voice that can be heard, and fingerprints that can be scanned, but has no history, no past, no trace of ever having been born, what are they? We rely on paper trails and digital records to prove our existence. But what if something exists beyond that? And the most chilling part of all, if something like this can walk into a maximum security prison, one of the most monitored places on Earth, and go completely unnoticed. Where else could they go? Could they walk into your office, your neighborhood, your home? The prison still stands today, a monument of concrete and steel. The cell, number and all, still exists, though it's said that no one has been assigned to it since. The official record is sealed, locked away from public view. All that remains is the story, one intake, one disappearance. And a question that no one in a position of power wants to answer. Did a prisoner vanish from a locked cell? Or was he a ghost in the machine, a man who was never really supposed to be here at all? What do you think happened? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.